Well, welcome to the Sea Hunter. We're anchored here off of Boston. Had her for a little over a year. Did some preparations down in Louisiana, moved up to Portland, and now we're here in Boston. Where we are right now is in the bridge. And this is the captain's seat, or whoever's navigating. On long voyages, we generally take turns. On the wide screen, as well as the secondary screen over there, we have a navigation system that we use. The boat's equipped with autopilot. We also have a depth finder behind you, but we also have a secondary setup in the back where during docking or regular operation somebody can monitor it, or when we're tying up to our 4-point anchoring system. This here is Nine. He was our 9th member that we acquired. Hey Nine, that's right. Above this deck we have a satellite system which gives us a couple of telephone lines and also access to the internet for our navigation programs and some other information, but we don't really use them for television. We don't watch a lot. You can take a look over the deck. It's a little foggy right now, but starting in the back we have an A-frame which we installed some time ago in Louisiana. And we have a couple of claws back there. Genesco claw for grabbing. It has carbide tips and will has really strong holding power. We have a secondary one which that's for more grabbing something and lifting it. We have a small tender on board. We can bring that on or off the boat using the crane, and that's for when we're anchored so we can get back and forth to shore. Sometimes we use it for some operations, or if we have to get supplies, or if we had to take somebody quick for medical reasons. Where we're at now is the crew lounge. Gives us a place to unwind a little bit if we're not hanging in the galley. Have a nice TV, some futons, recliner, plenty of room to stretch out, watch a movie, or just unwind after a long day. Throughout this floor we have a number of cabins. These are some of the bunks. We have some linens in here and a full bath. We have a shower, sink, and a toilet, and the captain's bunk also has those facilities minus the shower. And we've just entered the galley, just redid some floors and cabinets, had to do some upgrades and make it a little fresher and neater, easier to keep clean as well. We have a dishwasher, a stove, microwave oven, fridge. We also have a walk-in fridge that leads to a walk-in freezer. We have about 100,000 gallon capacity on fuel, so want to make sure that on any long trips we also have enough food. This is where we eat our meals generally, unless we have something out on deck. Seating for a few people, but we also have a widescreen TV, sometimes for presentations or movies, or to plug into the ROV camera so other people can watch it. Back here we have a couple more bunks. This used to be one large room, but it was broken up into sections. We use this secondary room as the armory, extra life jacket storage, small arms. It's also our NOC, our Network Operations Center, satellite tracking, rescue equipment, occasional cat carrier, whatever we might need or don't have room for. This here would be the chief engineer's room over here. He's got a bed to himself right near the door going down into the downstairs into the hold, but he has his own sink and easy access to the engine room. Right over here is the hatch that goes down to the corridor. This leads all the way down to the engine room. It's a long corridor. This is our water closet. I have a washer and dryer, 2 shower stalls, a couple toilets, a sink, a wet sink. All of our cleaning and laundry needs are taken care of in there. Right, so we'll take a walk outside. Looks like the snow has stopped. Well, this is our paint locker, general gear storage, scuba gear, life jackets, painting equipment, any extra things that we don't want to have exposed out on deck. We installed a grill so that we're not always cooking inside. It can get a little hot inside depending on the weather, even though we do have air conditioning and heat. This is the large lid that can be opened either with the crane or manually, and items put in there or retrieved. We also have an access point for the cargo hold with a ladder where you can climb up and down. Got to have a ladder so we can have people operating above and below. The corridor splits the ship in the middle below deck, so we have one cargo hold on this side, on the port side, and one on the starboard side. This is the crane that was removed from an 18-wheeler and transferred to the pedestal on the ship. We use this man basket with the crane to either bring supplies on board, or sometimes we have to do some work up on the A-frame and the crane can lift a man in there. This is our Connex box where we keep our remotely operated vehicle, our ROV. It's a Vector M5 series. On the face we have two lights, one that moves with the camera, one for ambient lighting. They're all water cooled, so they can only be lit out of water for a couple seconds, otherwise they can burn out. Same with the motors. You don't want to run them out of water for more than a couple minutes because they can burn out too, but it helps working in the water because you don't have to have a cooling system for all these units. We also have an optional grapple, which can be managed from the control center. It can either grab or it has a cutter in it. Of the 5 thrusters, 4 of them are horizontal and 1 of them is a vertical thruster. This one here, vertical, will bring it up and down, and the 4 horizontal is vector together to either shuffle to the left and right, turn left, and the other navigation controls. And what we have in here is the ROV control center. Over here we have controls for all the hydraulics to turn on the pumps and operate a couple of the units. We've got a VGA and a digital monitor. One will generally display the GUI, the pilot GUI, which gives you depth, heading, pitch roll, camera view, which also can be displayed here. We also have a secondary camera unit. While I'm watching the camera, I can also see distance and shapes in front of us, so that we, even in a difficult visibility, we're able to approach targets safely and not run into them. This here is the control box, which has 2 joysticks, one for the vertical plane, one for the horizontal. Also have controls for the lights and cameras, and enable or disable thrusters, certain buttons that allow us to maintain a depth of, like at auto depth, if we get to 600 feet and we want to hold that. But this is a great tool, a great inspection class ROV. It gives us a chance to see what's at the bottom before we actually attempt to excavate the cargo. Down in the corridor we have access to the hydraulic room and the tool room. We also have a couple of access ports through the hatches through the upper deck, so if we need to come up or down quickly. We use this davit to raise the ROV out of the container into the water, and also for retrieval. This here is one of our 6-ton anchors used in the 4-point anchoring system. Has about 20-25 feet of chain on it, so want to make sure it stays in place. We have a lot of pressure on it, and want to make sure it doesn't move when it's down there, but we also need to be able to retrieve it. So we have a couple claws here, operated by hydraulic power, but lifted with a winch on the side. I think it's 1.1/8 cable. Can drop it down to the depths that we're working at, up to 700 feet or more, and the hydraulics will operate the claw, opening it and closing it. It has some pretty strong holding power. Down below, I'll point out a couple things because it can be a little loud down there. We have generally have something running, so it can be loud. I always have a generator running on board to power the ship. What we have is 2 EMD motors, electromotor division. They're pretty much the same motor you would find on the locomotive. 16-cylinder, blowers on either side of each motor, 2 of them. In the center of the hallway we had 2 Detroit generators, which we use to power the ship. Generally we power all of our own electricity, all the refrigeration and everything. We're too big to really tie up for shore power, so it's kind of loud because we have to keep one running at all time for power, including if we had any fire emergencies. The power powers the fire pump to transfer water, as well as all of our needs. On either side you may have seen some hatch doors on the side. That's where we store our reserve motor oil, hydraulic oil, gear oil, waste oil. At the very end was the lazarette, the area where if you went backing up, the rudders and some moving parts are back there. Really don't go back there when it's underway. It's very dangerous. You could get pinched. Watch your head. Now this is the corridor that you saw that came up in the galley. It's a pretty long hallway, as you can see. On either side are ballast tanks, potable water tanks, fuel tanks. Also have the 2 cargo holds down the end, the hydraulic and the tool room. This here is our hydraulic system. This is, I think, a 700-gallon reservoir for the hydraulic system. And back here we have a few motors and pumps and a lot of hose. This here is a primary tool room. We keep a lot of stock in here. All the various filters that we require, hoses, cabling, power tools, hand tools, pretty much anything that needs to be stored. We converted a part of it into a bench so we could work and the rest of it for storage. Again, we have fuel below us on the exterior wall, interior wall, and on this side we have water storage. So just all the little tools that we need that need a place. Now down at the end what we have is another Detroit diesel for the bow thruster. We also have a Coast Guard approved Humphrey sanitation system. That's some of the things that you'll see under the forward stairwell. Also hot water heater. Got to take a hot shower now and then. And that's also some water filtration system up there. But that's pretty much the tour of the ship.